Hi, my name is Gabrielle Rafert, and this is my field exam for the eCornel Master Beekeeper program. We are here at my home apiary in Western Washington, Pacific Northwest. A particular thing I mentioned right off the bat is a bit damper here, and you have to watch out for moisture control in the Pacific Northwest with keeping bees. Not so much a problem now. It's midsummer and it gets a bit dry here during the summertime. Something to keep in mind though as we move into fall and through early spring. Pros, it's in my backyard. It's really easy access. It has good midday sun from about mid or morning to the early evening, so they get to avoid that late hot afternoon sun when it does get pretty warm here on occasion. It would be nice if they got that earlier morning sun. It's my garden, so I keep it pretty well watered. I also have a small pond up front. There's even a large public pond about a mile east of here, so they have lots of access to water. I provide some forage. They do get a good amount of things in the mint family, oregano, mint itself, and different herbs and such, which provide some healthy nectar for them right here. Overall, we do have some decent large trees still here in our neighborhood. Early spring large flowering trees that provide a slow start to our nectar flow when blackberry opens up in like late May, late spring, early summer. That's when we get our major nectar flow here, and it's primarily blackberry. Then we usually have a bit of a resource dearth, both nectar and pollen after that blackberry is finished being pollinated. And then we get another small fall flow of goldenrods and asters, and some knotweed in our area. Unfortunately, it's an invasive and it isn't present in a lot of our waterways. Here in Western Washington, we have a lot of wetland area, and there's some forage there for them as well. For cons, it is just adjacent to the street here, which makes me weary of passersby. So far, there has been no issues. I do have a bit of an ease there. There's a garden separating, so people aren't too close. There's also this fence here, which directs the traffic up and over, thankfully, and most people have just complimented and they love watching the bees here, so that's nice. Cons also, it is an urban area, so lack of habitat, healthy habitat, is an issue. I think that dearth is stronger than it would be if it was in a better habitat, healthier habitat with more plants, more planted landscape. Yeah, I think that's the pros and the cons for the garden here. I'm gonna put on my glove and my veil, and we're gonna get a closer look, see what we can see in front of the hive. I'm going to put on my gloves and my veil because we did just come out of that dearth. As I mentioned, it is mid-August here, and we're coming out of that dearth. So gloves and veils for now, as the bees can be a bit more defensive of those resources they're getting ready to put away for winter. Okay. Bit of background on these two colonies. I got them both as packages. They are from Oliver's Bee Company, the Randy Oliver Golden West Queens. I was eager to try them out for their promising genetics with higher varroa, hygiene, and resistance, along with still maintaining good honey production and overall good temperament. So yes, it was late April when I got them. 72 hours after I installed the packages. I installed them on already mostly drawn out combs with some for them to draw on. Blank foundation, not drawn out comb for them to draw out. And yes, used equipment. I reshelled them in June after refurbishing some old equipment. And yes, so 72 hours after I installed the packages, I checked to make sure the queens had been released and everything seemed to be going okay. Unfortunately, the smaller colony's queen had not been released, and I decided to finish removing the candy plug to get her out and see what was going on, and she came out quite sluggish. So I'm not sure if she was damaged in transit or if she potentially was sick in some way or another. So then I waited another few days and checked on the colonies again. She was gone. Unfortunately, this queen, though, had begun to lay, but I wanted to wait another few days or so to make sure that she had a substantial amount of brood going and her colony had begun to grow well before I donated a nice fresh frame of eggs to this colony so that they could rear a new queen, which they did successfully. Of course, in that time, it was probably nearly a month, they had lost a significant amount of population, or relatively small, but since then they have grown very well and filled out these 2 boxes. This is a 8 frame setup here, so it's just 2 frames smaller than this one, a 10 frame. I gave them the smaller equipment because they were so small. I didn't want them to have a ton of space to work with. They wanted them to focus on getting together a good strong colony here in a couple of boxes. So as you can see, they're getting warmed up for the day. They're starting to fly. They're starting to forage. I don't see anything coming in just yet. It is early morning, but I was seeing bright orange pollen coming in the other day. Have been foraging some of those fall nectar flow, late summer nectar flow resources I mentioned earlier. They're not being too defensive. It looks like there are a few potential guard bees. Ah, that girl just came in with some nice yellow pollen. All right, let's check down below. We're looking for any crawling bees. There was a large mortuary pile, lots of dead bees, twitching bees, crawling bees, K-wing, when their wings are crossed in an unnatural sort of manner, and or deformed wings. Any early signs that the colony may be struggling with any sorts of diseases. Fortunately, I am not seeing much of anything down here. So either all these ants have done their job cleaning it up quite quickly and efficiently, or so far so good. Not a lot of signs of disease. Because they experience such a long brood break, they may not be experiencing much varroa mite pressure yet. Okay, now we're going to head up there and get set up to open the colony. Oh, one more note. What I expect to see in there, I think I've kind of already gone over it. Oh, I do see this here too. It could be dysentery, but it's actually looking a bit more like propolis to me. So we'll keep an eye and we go in there. I hope to see decent honey resource as they prepare for overwintering. I hope to see good nectar stores and converting it into honey. I expect to see a reduction in brood production as they don't need to be producing as many bees. We're going into fall, winter, that the queen should be laying less. But I still expect to see decent bee bread and pollen being stored for resource for the larvae, because they will continue to lay some, most likely. We have relatively mild winters here, and they will continue to rear brood down to a very small patch, except for maybe in the middle of winter there when we can get some cold, but I expect to see both pollen being turned into bee bread for storage and honey. All right, let's head up there. Oh, that reminds me with the car going by. Oh, I just want to briefly mention we are adjacent to a road, a street. That is another con for this apiary because I do worry that passersby may get stung. Thankfully, it has not been an issue so far. I actually have gotten a lot of compliments from neighbors. I have a sort of small garden strip to help the easement too, but that they like watching the hives. And thankfully with our fence here, it's relatively tall and it sends the bee line and bee traffic up and over. Okay, so getting into the colony, I am going to move relatively, not too slow necessarily. We're going to move efficiently as we can, but slowly and carefully, very mindfully. As I mentioned, we are getting out of a dearth. Resource has begun to dwindle. There's not as much in the landscape, and the colony may be a bit more defensive as they begin to defend themselves in preparation for overwintering. So yeah, here we go. I'm just gonna gently remove the top cover, to begin. Oh, yes, a very full box of bees. The population is looking full through and through. I believe this colony may now be a candidate for a combination with another colony that may have not done as well or has gone queenless. Moving into fall, we have a larger apiary with many more hives, about 18 total, and so we will be checking to see if any of those colonies may need some more population, hopefully one that put away more resource during the summer so we can help them out if this one has not. So here we go. All right, so we will be using a bit of smoke, hopefully begin to distract them before we get in there. Not too much. We're not trying to disrupt the colony overly. Oh, slowly. That was a good. They've propolized well. It cracked right open. It's a cool morning. Not too cool. It's about 65 degrees, but the propolis seemed to be a bit hard there. Hasn't warmed up quite yet. Okay, all right. Just a quick look at the inner cover here to make sure the queen didn't find her way up. So far, it is all workers here. All right. I'm going to remove this drone trapping frame. I'm trying out for the first time this year as well. Looks like they are still, I see some bees festooning over here off to the side, so it looks like they are still building some comb, which would indicate that there is a small flow going on. Just scanning, looks they're still drying this out. It's not a fully drawn out frame. They're still adding wax to it and building out those comb. Building out the comb. I don't see the queen there. And still no signs of any drones. These girls do seem to be actively building this out. Very nice. It is drawn out on this side. And I'm not seeing any eggs. So the queen has not determined, the colony has not determined they need any drones. Let's see what they're doing here. Oh, they've really built that out right there. Okay. I'm just gonna gently how interesting, they really drew that out very far. I feel like they might be trying to attach that to another frame. Okay, we're just gonna set this off to the side, gently down here. Okay, so we do want to use some smoke to distract the bees and to move them from where I'll be placing the hive tool to remove frames, to inspect them. All right. I'll move a couple frames in. They're propolizing as well, their outer immune system there. Propolis is collected from tree resins and creates a nice outer immune system for its antimicrobial properties, and seems they've been able to find plenty of that. Okay, here comes another one. Ah! Wow, very full frame of capped brood through and through. They've begun to backfill the either hatched or brood they may have removed with pollen and create some bee bread there. The temperament seems pretty calm, which would indicate hopefully that they're not experiencing a lot of pressure from disease or queenlessness. Still no signs of any drones. They would be quite a bit larger, much more plump than these workers. Their eyes are much larger. They don't have such a pointed abdomen, much more rounded. Okay, and the overall, I wouldn't consider this necessarily spotty brood. This seems pretty normal and I did see some younger bees too, so hatching out, and maybe some brood that didn't make it, that they had removed, but not a significant amount there. All right. I guess I would like to check. Let's just go for this one here. I don't want to disturb them too much. I'm gonna let them keep putting away resource and getting prepared for fall and winter. But here we go, it's a little bit heavier. Oh my, yes, she really laid these out. We've got another nice brood pattern. And there is some resource here, some capped honey as you would expect to see around the brood nest. And then around that in this part here, I can see some bee bread. Bee bread being adjacent to the larvae. Oh, they did start to develop some drones down here. Sorry, bee bread adjacent to the larvae for the protein to feed the larvae, and then the honey of course is for the adults as fuel. Their sugar keeps them going. I see a queen cup down here. This would be a swarm cell down at the bottom. Probably, you know, it's a just in case kind of thing. It's not charged. We definitely don't want them swarming this late in the season. Okay, not as much resources I would hope to see towards these outer edges. Their colony is very strong in population. And so I'm thinking, well, we'll either have to donate them some resource, feed them from another colony, or feed them artificial feed. Yeah, or combine them with another colony that was able to put away more resource. There's not, unfortunately, much resource as I would hope to see in these outer parts here. I'm not seeing any resource, unfortunately. Okay, and let's move down to that bottom box. I'm going to put this upper box back together. And I heard my daughter calling, so I'm going to quickly close the colony, and then when I come back out, we're going to move down to the bottom box and see what's going on in there. Just smoking to make sure I get these girls out between these frame edges before I close it up. I didn't see any sign of disease in that brood so far. There were no perforated cappings. There were no chewed down larvae. There wasn't much open larvae yet, so let's see if there's some more open larvae in that bottom, and we'll inspect that some more. The adult bees themselves looked pretty good so far. I'm not seeing any signs of, I don't see any deformed wings. I don't believe I see any K-wing quite yet. This girl, maybe. Overall, though, they're looking pretty good. Okay. Try and get these girls off the edge before I put this on. Okay, going to remove this top box as gently as I can. Oh, cracking the propolis. All right. I do sometimes like to take a little look at the bottom of the frames to see if there are any queen cells, swarm cells at the bottom of the frame there. Not as much this time of year as during storm season. I'm just gonna set that box on top of my top cover and inner cover there, and we'll get into this bottom box. Okay, looks like there's good population all the way through here. Bees on every seam. Just again using a little bit of smoke so that they won't be along the outer edges here as much, hopefully, and I can open up these frames. We'll start with one of these outer ones actually and remove it to create some room. I'm just going to slide this one over. There is a decent amount of room in this box, thankfully. All right. Again, nice and propolized. And carefully, hopefully rolling too many bees, we'll pull this frame out. Oh, there's some more girls festooning. They are still building. All right, we've got quite a bit of bee bread over here towards the edge. Quite a few newbies on this frame as well. Lots of bee bread here and some honey, nectar off to the sides. Just gonna try and get a closer look. Also scanning for the queen to see if the queen's out here, on here, and looking for signs of her, which would mostly be eggs, telling me that she's been here within the last 3 days. I see some older brood. Okay, yeah, there is some different age brood in here. I'm seeing a lot of larvae that looks pretty well in color, nice and white. No brown or goopy looking. And some younger larvae. Not quite seeing eggs yet. Okay. Check the back side of this quickly. See what's going on here. I'm not seeing the queen here either. We'll move on to the next frame. Okay, moving farther into this box. Continuing to assess for signs of disease and signs of the queen. Overall resource. Let's see. Okay. Well, we've got a girl doing a waggle. I thought she was doing a bit of a dance there, maybe trying to recruit. They're backfilling with pollen here, it looks like. Just gonna check and see if the queen's on this side, potentially. No, I don't think the queen is on this frame. This is mostly capped brood on this side. And here they've begun to backfill. The capped brood, I'm not seeing any perforations again. I think what has been backfilled looks like it was probably hatched out. I mean, the population's very strong so far in this colony. And this one is pretty much full. I don't see anything on the outer edges. Let's move in again. I'd like to see some more uncapped brood to assess what's going on there. The adults overall look pretty healthy. This girl here looks a bit hairless and shiny, but she may also just be an older bee. Bit of smoke to clear from the edges there. I may need to give them another small box. They do seem to be a bit large for this space. I believe I have another shallow box I can give them. And I do have some more uncapped brood here. Let me check the back quickly before I look a little bit deeper on there. No signs of the queen, I'm sorry, there are signs of the queen, but I have not seen the queen. The queen, again, is a bit larger cast, and she has a longer abdomen, a little bit more pointed, but she looks similar to the workers, but larger and longer. This looks like a unhatched queen cell. I'm not sure what happened there. Interesting. Perhaps one that was removed a long while ago when they first requeened even. Okay, yeah, I can see some more nice healthy looking larvae in there. Looks wet, white, not discolored. They're mostly older. I might move in a bit farther and see if I can find a bigger patch of eggs. She may need more laying space. I'm going to have to see what I have for drawn comb. And or like I said, assess the other colonies. We do plan on harvesting here this weekend and next. So maybe I may give them some spun out frames so that they can clean up that resource and put it away and give her some more laying space for now. Okay. See if we can find some nice patch of eggs. I'm actually afraid that she may be a bit out of space. Let's see, don't see her here or here. She may very well be up in the upper box. And I may actually check out another frame up there. Don't see her here either. Still healthy looking larvae. Overall healthy looking bees. We've got some foragers here doing their dances, the wiggle dance. Trying to let the girls know where that late flow is. Lots of bee bread. All right. They are building. Yeah, I may need to give these girls another box. Oh, wow, they have definitely put away pollen. Let's see, I don't believe I see her here. There is a lot of bee bread. It seems there is a nectar flow going on, and they have plenty to rear brood. I'm more concerned about what they have to feed themselves. Going to quickly check this last frame for potential eggs, and then we're going to go back up to the top box and see if we can find some there. That's very well maybe. There's some honey on that frame, which is nice to see. So they did put away some resource here, but not really enough that I am comfortable with for them going through winter. So this colony is definitely a candidate for feeding donated resource frames from other stronger colonies, or combination with a colony that unfortunately could have gone queenless. Okay, I'm going to scooch these back together and get back into that top box to see if I can find a nice patch of eggs to show everyone. Alright. Trying to get those frames relatively tight so they don't build too much in between them, making it harder to pull the boxes apart. Looks like they're away from the edges, which is good. Okay. Let's get in here and see. See what's going on in here some more. Can't see the queen on this side before I take a deeper look in those cells. And not seeing her here either. Let's see what's going on. Ah, yes. There are eggs though. We've got an egg frame. I'm just gonna reconfirm I don't see her here. This will be probably my last frame for now then. Let them get back to work and see what we can do for them for resource. Okay. Let's see if we can get those eggs on camera. Adjust this to try and get the light in there more. Okay. There we go. I'm pretty sure you can see him. All right, and it looks like, yeah, she's still laying very well. I believe I will potentially consider, yeah, giving them another box with some. We're going to be harvesting from quite a few colonies, and I think I will give them a little bit more space to lay. See if we've got some smaller colonies, maybe a queen that's not doing so well or has passed, and it's maybe time to combine them and set both of those remaining colonies up better for winter. So now we will close this back up, trying to watch for any bees. Trying very hard not to squish any girls as we get those nice and as tight as possible. Okay. So, not the best angle for closing it up. My apologies. All right. Yeah, I'm concerned about their resource going into winter. They need more to be able to survive. We do winterize our colonies here with a dry sugar quilt because of the excess moisture, which does give them some feed through those months. But they definitely need to have some more honey stores. Their population is incredible. Their bee bread is incredible. I'm thinking I'm going to look for a colony that's population isn't doing as well, and maybe the queen is older. We do have some older colonies out there. We'll see what we can do to benefit these girls and another going into winter. I think that's pretty much it. I also want to mention, so overall we didn't see a lot of signs for any sort of disease or viruses in the colony there. I think that the genetics, as far as for Varroa hygiene as well, there wasn't like perforated cappings or a lot of sick looking adult bees. The brood looked healthy overall. There wasn't a spotty pattern or chewed down brood. So my hopes are high. Like I said, we'll be taking honey supers off here soon. And so then in about a week or so, and we'll go back and we're gonna test all the hives for Varroa and treat as needed. We use Formic Pro and oxalic vapor. We also want to try out Hop Guard, and we try to rotate through depending We also do a lot of non-chemical management as well, early splits, giving some of them brood breaks, some of those queenless part of the split, a brood break, which will help with Varroa because they develop faster in those closed brood cells as they develop. And the drone trapping frames, trying out that as well, because we would remove it once it was partially full with the most amount of Varroa trapped in there, and remove it. The other thing I didn't see was any signs of any wasp pressure, which would be the wasps, of course, themselves, and chewed on cappings, and mostly you'd see them out front earlier when we were inspecting it. But if they were inside the colony, usually weaker colonies, you'll see them at, and just depending on where you are, if there's a wasp proximity to the wasp nest themselves. I have not seen that here at this apiary. I have seen it at our community garden apiary, and we've seen it in the past at our third apiary in an open space. Yeah. That would pretty much be it. Watch out. We gotta watch out for Varroa next, and as I mentioned, winterize earlier. Thank you for watching.